Welcome to Living Marvelously with me, Laurie Jonas. This is the show where we unleash the marvelous potential in every woman. Are you ready to dream big and leap into a life you love? Don't let the expectations of others choose for you. Step out of your comfort zone and learn how to create what your life looks like. I'll take you on an inspirational journey, helping you tap into the wellspring of your inner strength, get clear on your life purpose, and unleash the vision you came into the world to share. On Living Marvelously, you will learn about personal development, self-care, and spirituality. And together, we will connect with others, sharing their unique energies, and learn to create a world that allows everyone to shine. Living Marvelously starts now.
Everyone, and thank you for joining me on Living Marvelously with Laurie Jonas. I am here every second and fourth Thursday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, and I'm usually only here for a half hour, but you are in for a treat today because you get a full hour, and it is going to be dynamic and exciting. I am so excited to share with you the wisdom of my coach, my mentor, and my friend, Stacy Hartmann. She's going to talk us through the 7 levels of potential and how we can recognize and change where we are today. But before we get into that, I want to tell you a little bit about Stacy. Stacy is a results-driven master coach, a trainer, an author. She has thousands of hours of real-world experience in helping high-achieving visionaries with heart. She helps people who are here to shake things up and impact millions, monetize their genius, and create conscious wealth while effortlessly sustaining a freedom-based lifestyle. She has world-class expertise and wisdom in merging unconventional business strategies with the power of metaphysics, consciousness, and energy to create outrageous business success. So I want to welcome Stacy. Personally, as a coach to me, I found my favorite thing is how she sees you, and she can really help pull out the beliefs that are holding you back from your own success. And I so enjoy talking to her, and I'm so excited that she is going to be here to talk to you today. So welcome, Stacy.
Thank you, Laurie.
And if you have anything you want to add to that, because I know it has been quite a journey for you to get to where you are today, and you are still evolving.
Always. And I'm so excited to talk about that. That's a big topic when we're talking about potential is, I don't have anything else to add to what you shared. I'm blushing a little bit actually, but ultimately what it all means is just that we are constantly in evolution, and the framework we're going to be talking about today is going to support that for all of you who are tuning in.
Yeah. So before we start talking about those 7 levels of potential, I just want to give some framework for everybody. So you have this beautiful connection with what you call Gus, God, universe, source, but you are also very conscious of the science of all of it. So how do you meld those two?
Yeah, to me, well, first and foremost, and we'll talk about this when we get into the levels of potential, but I'm a natural skeptic. And so I've been having spiritual experiences my whole life, and many of them I'd forgotten that I'd had them. I've been tapped into this universal source energy. Gus is God, universe, source. And I wanted to have an explanation for it. And so that led me to start studying some deeper kind of scientific principles. I have recollections from when I was in high school of chemistry, when the chemistry teacher said, everything you see is vibrating, moving energy. And so that's the science, is that and the science is only becoming more and more advanced about the legitimacy of this flow of energy, and that there's more space than matter. And then there's the spiritual experience in co-creating with the universe, that it's like the experiential side and then the intellectual side. So I love the melding of the two, and it appeals to anybody who's going to be more on the spiritual side. And it also appeals to natural skeptics like myself to see that there's some real scientific evidence of our ability to create our worlds.
Yeah. You had said something to me once when I was talking to you about how sometimes it's hard to talk about the whole spirituality aspect to people because they might think you're a little crazy. But you said to me, just start out that way. Just say, this might sound a little crazy to you, but here's what I want to share. And I think that's a really good sort of like making people see, okay, does sound a little crazy, but what you're saying might be true.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that intro, right? Because what it does is it immediately puts us at peace and allows us to still use our voice and just take ownership for like the insecurity we might have about sharing something that to somebody who's not familiar with these topics might sound a little cuckoo. And so, yeah, it gets us, like the fact that you're using it and that I use it, it just allows us to continue to use our voice and not be afraid of what people are going to think of us and to speak what we believe.
Yeah. Well, our audience today believes in the spirituality aspect, but it's always good to have that science-backed piece. And I know, will you talk a little bit about the science of these 7 powers of potential today?
I'll talk about the research that's come out of
Okay.
this work. Definitely, definitely, it's statistically valid, research-based methodology, and yeah, we'll talk about that for sure.
Okay, perfect. So one thing I wanted to ask before we do get into it also is when we talk about why are they important to you and why do you feel so called to share this with everyone?
What I love about what you're all going to be listening to today and learning is that it gives us a framework for awareness. The first step for us to tap into our potential and grow is, first and foremost, we have to be aware of what we're thinking and how we're feeling. And this framework gives us kind of like a scale to be able to know, where is my frequency and vibration? Am I vibrating and at a frequency that's a higher level of consciousness, which gets me closer to God, universe, source? Or am I experiencing a lower level of consciousness, which is further away from the truth of who I am and my full potential? So the reason why I'm so passionate about it is that it gives us a framework. It gives us points to refer back to constantly check into, because with awareness comes shifting and comes transformation.
Yeah, awareness is such a big deal. If you're not aware of where you are now, you can't ever get to a higher place, right? You have to know where you're at.
Yeah.
And these are some good steps, the good places to go to.
It reminds me of Dr. Phil. He says, you can't change what you don't acknowledge. That's my best Dr. Phil impression right
That was good.
You can't change what you don't acknowledge. It's like, that's the awareness piece. We can't change what we are unwilling to know exists.
Right. Which goes along with so much stuff that I also share on this show, like your limiting beliefs and, just using the law of attraction to know, like, what are you thinking about? Are you aware of what you're putting out into the universe and what you're getting back because of it?
Yeah. And what you share and teach about infinite possibilities and affirmations and just all the ways to shift and transform from that awareness into potential.
Yeah. It's a big piece. All right. Should we dive in?
Let's do it.
Okay. I'm just gonna let you go.
Okay, perfect. So we're going to talk about the 7, I call them powers of potential, domains of potential, levels of potential. And I'm just going to give a high level overview so that we can dig deeper into exactly where Laurie wants to take it that will serve your needs the most. So the 7 levels of potential. So the first level of potential is what we call the victim state. Now, what this is really we're just feeling powerless over certain things in our life. The easiest way to identify this is when you feel powerlessness, loss of control. And then the other way is when you are really afraid of what people think of you. So the mind is often going about, what are they going to think? Am I saying the right thing? It's a huge spotlight on ourselves. And it's really fear of rejection. That's the biggest fear that shows up in this first power of potential. And that view and that fear of rejection, which is completely understandable because our innate need is to belong, causes us to show up in the world only tapping into a sliver of the potential that's available to us. This can feel things like guilt, shame, it's my fault. I'm the one who caused this. What am I doing wrong? What's the point of all of this? Confusion is a huge symptom of level 1 potential. So you can kind of just feel it's very heavy. It's very, it can feel almost depressive at times, like a dark night of the soul. Um, it's exhausting to be operating from this level. Now, as I'm sharing these levels, every single level we go in and out of, the goal is not to not experience this. This is a part of our experience. The goal is to be aware of it and know that we are always at choice and have more potential available to us. Because if we try to avoid it, then we're just spiritually bypassing, which just gets us into a whole nother lower level than level one even. So that's the first level. The second level of potential, rather than feeling like it's all my fault, we start to actually project out and see it as everybody else's fault. And so this is where we feel anger, frustration, irritation, conflict, blame. It's competition, it's desire to win, it's coming from a different kind of lack mindset. In level one, we might not even feel worthiness. In level two, we're like, I deserve it more than you, so I'm going to go get it. And I'm going to make sure that it happens for me. And even if that means you lose. And so that sounds pretty harsh because most of you that are listening to this are like, oh my goodness, like I can't even imagine behaving in that way. But it shows up very subtly in our life. And so it's just being honest. When I said I was a skeptic, skepticism is a level two experience. It's having trust issues. It's feeling skeptical about people, feeling like you might be taken advantage of, feeling like you have to protect yourself because other people aren't trustworthy. Those are examples of level two energy that can show up, that it's not just so overt like you're an angry person. It's not what we show the world that is determining our potential. It's what the frequency, the energy is underneath how we're presenting ourselves to the world that's determining ultimately how much potential we're tapping into. So that's level two. And you can see it's just we took from projecting onto ourselves and putting the spotlight onto us to now putting it onto somebody else. One of my favorite stories that Brene Brown shares is she's sharing a story about she spilled some coffee on her shirt. And the first place her mind went to was, dang it, Steve. It was her husband's fault that she spilled coffee on her shirt. Why? Because he kept her up too late the night before. And if he would have been more respectful, if he would have put the coffee cup in a different place, then I wouldn't have spilled this on my shirt. That's an example of level two.
That's funny. I would have gone, oh, I'm so clumsy. Why would I do that? And that's level one, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. Oh my gosh, look at me. I'm so clumsy. I can't get this stuff right. And then level two is like, dang it. Why did they put that coffee cup there?
Love it. Great example.
So these first two levels are considered catabolic energy. It's energy that breaks us down. It's energy that breaks down our immunity. It's energy that just kind of really takes a toll on us on every single area of our life. The next level of energy, level of potential, is the toleration level. So level 3 of potential this is where we know how to take all that stuff that we experience in level 2 and make lemonade out of lemons. We know how to put a positive spin on it. We rationalize, we cope. It's fine. It'll be okay. It's a ping pong game in our brains and in our thoughts. The third power of potential is very heady. It's like we hear the energy of the first and second level, and then we talk ourselves out of it. So we just go back and forth and back and forth. Oh, he's doing the best he can. Yeah, but if only he did it. Well, think about it though. He's having a really rough day. I mean, think about how much mental energy this level of potential takes to go back and forth like a ping pong game. So this is where we rationalize, we cope, we explain away. This potential level is much more powerful. We're tapping into like 60% of growth-oriented potential versus below it, but there's still 40% of this catabolic response, which is breaking us down. So it's working for us better, but it's still holding us back. This is also where we see a lot of people settling. It's good enough. Life's good. I should be grateful for what I have. I don't need more. So this level of potential is your security blanket. It's comfortable. It's so comfortable. And it's good. And it feels good because we've been able to cope with anything and everything that didn't feel good. One of my favorite ways to identify where I'm operating in this potential level is to make a list of what am I tolerating in my life? What am I tolerating? And it's crazy. One time I made this list and I was tolerating a broken door handle. Now think about this. How many times do you go in and out of maybe your front door in a day or in a week? And this door handle, every single time I had to lift it up instead of lift it down. That's a huge energy leak. I'm just tolerating this door handle. It works. I can go in and out. But at the end of the day, it was a little minor irritation throughout every single day that I was using the store. Just get it fixed. It doesn't have to be good enough. It can be great. But level 3 says it's good enough.
Yeah. Oh, I have so much to say about that level, but we'll keep going. Okay.
The 4th level of potential is a level of care, service, compassion. This level is really heart-centered. It's deep care and concern for other people. It's where you step into self-care for yourself. You make sure that you're taking care of your needs, that you know that when your cup is full, that you can give from the overflow and you're happy to help other people from that overflow. That's probably the biggest thing to really watch with this level is if you're giving from empty, it's actually the first level of potential because you're giving from an empty cup, which means there might be an underlying intention that I am enough because of what I do for others. True level 4 potential is I am enough and I'm so abundant and so grateful and I am overflowing and I happily give that to others. So gratitude is the practice that falls under this level of potential, which is exactly what Laurie spends a lot of time sharing and talking about. She's literally shifting our energy from these lower potentials into higher potential every single time that you teach about gratitude, Laurie. It's just amazing.
Thank you.
It's a sweet spot. It's the first place that we really start to feel the power of our potential. So gratitude, playfulness. I think about kids a lot in this level, especially younger kids. They love to share, they love to connect, they love to play. It's just very lighthearted. You can feel it in your heart. That's the 4th power of potential.
Love that one. Yes.
The 5th level of potential, power of potential, is very opportunistic. So this is the place where we have a lot of curiosity. We are just curious. We want to know. One of my favorite lines from Ted Lasso is be curious, not judgmental. That's a level 5 potential disposition. I wonder about this. What if we did that? It's an ability of the brain to take a bird's eye view of an entire situation and see the whole picture. In the lower levels, it's like we have tunnel vision. We're just like in such an emergency stress response. All we can see life through is this little pinhole. And in the 5th level of potential, we start to see the whole picture. And we start to see that we start to see that there's potential and possibility in everything. In fact, no longer do challenges, frustrations, problems, we don't even see them as that. They're opportunities for growth. We excitedly step into fearful places because we know that there's growth on the other side of it. We start reconciling good and bad and right and wrong. We start to see the bigger picture. And there's a lot of polarity and divisiveness in the lower levels because of judgment. In this level, we're able to see both sides and see the incredible learning and growth that gets to happen by exploring all the sides. Another very intellectual level. I think about one of my favorite quotes is from Richard Branson in this one. He says, "You either win or you learn. You cannot lose when you are operating from this level of potential. You are learning and growing, or you are achieving your goals, and both are wins." So here we are not risk averse. We're willing to take risks. Also, if you think about this level, you see the longer term vision. So there's more patience. There's more willingness, tenacity, grit, determination to stay the course, to stay the path. There's an immense belief and confidence, a humble confidence in this level. And so, yeah, really a brilliant intellectual level to leverage to achieve any goals that you're setting out to achieve.
So good. I see a really, and we can talk about this more later, but I see a really strong correlation with level 2 being about scarcity mindset and level 5 being about growth mindset, and the difference, between those two. And that'd be fun to dive into.
Really fun. You're naturally intuitively picking up on there's a really cool interplay between 2 and 5. And there's a cool interplay between 1 and 4. So they kind of play with each other in that way. So you're already picking up on that, which is really cool.
All right. 2 more. Let's see if we can get through them before our first break.
Awesome. I think we're going to do it because these
Okay.
2 levels, level 6 and level 7, this is our spiritual place. This is where we are really tapped into the highest levels of consciousness and start stepping into oneness. So the 6th level of potential is where we are experiencing immense creativity and flow. And it's an experience. It's where you start to be with somebody and you feel like you're on the same wavelength. The lines start to blur when you're with somebody. It's like you become one person. You're picking up off of each other. You are literally starting to interface with true oneness with whoever you're around. You see beauty in grief. So when we talk about reconciling things in level 5, now we're actually experiencing it. We're not just seeing it through the mind. We're experiencing beauty through grief. We're experiencing immense emotion, joy, flow, creativity, loss of time, losing time, superhuman productivity, because this access shortcuts our pathway to our goals. We're receiving higher guidance and wisdom in the 6th potential. The 7th potential is really out there. It's like, actually, it's 100% spiritual. It's when you officially become one. It is Buddha consciousness, Christ consciousness. The easiest way for me to describe it is like the color white, and that everything else exists because of this level. Just like the color white, no other colors can exist without the color white. So level 7 is just a level that we occasionally tap into. It's unconditional love, radical self-acceptance, instantaneous manifestation, the ability to have a thought and have it manifest instantaneously. It's something that we don't see much on this earth and walking in humans, because it's so close to the highest source of it all.
I love how when you said we can tap into it, because I can see that I've tapped into all 7 of these levels at some point. I could see a time when I was there. So I'm excited to expand on all of those when we come back. So we're going to take a short break. And then when we come back, we will dive in a little deeper. So we'll see you soon. Welcome back to Living Marvelously with Laurie Jonas. And today I have a very special guest, Stacy Hartmann, and we are having fun talking about 7 levels of potential. I know you've said a couple of different ways. Sometimes it's levels, domains,
powers.
Like powers. Yeah. Like, what's the essence of it?
The essence is just that it's a framework. And so levels, domains, I see it as layers even, it's layers of our being. And when I say powers, I like using that word. And sometimes that just comes through because actually every single level, when we remove judgment, which is a high level of potential, we start to see the power of every single one of the levels too. There's not good and bad. And so I think I prefer powers, but sometimes I'll use levels, just, across the board.
Fun. So we just went through all of the levels, and I just want to touch on each one a little bit, a little more deeply. So let's just start with level 1, the survival mode. So I think a lot of people live here. I think it's a really, and mostly it's because they're not aware. Like they're just not aware of this higher spirit within them. They're living in a place of this is all there is. Um, and this is just the way life is. So how do we like introduce or how do we sort of break that plane with them in level one?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it's usually completely unconscious because
Yeah.
the truth of who we are is pure potential at level 7. And it's our conditioning, the beliefs that we got from parents, from education, from society as a whole. That's really what's creating these lower levels of potential. And so I get this question a lot. It's like, well, how do we really, bring it to the surface? And that is why I love teaching this because now you have a framework to be able to ask the question at any given time because it's like working muscle memory. The more awareness we have about how we personally experience each of these levels, then when they come up, we're aware of them more quickly. They're not hiding under the surface, sometimes operating our full day without us knowing about it because it's so unconscious. So first and foremost is exactly this awareness piece and being able to ask, what level am I experiencing right now? I feel bad. I don't feel good. What is the story I'm telling myself?
Yeah.
Because the thoughts creating the emotion, creating then the action and
Mm-hmm.
reaction to our world.
Mm-hmm.
And when we identify the thought and we can say, ooh, I'm feeling bad about me, we know we're experiencing that first level of potential.
Yeah. And a really good way of like you even just sort of poked at it is what are the beliefs that you were taught from a very young age that are keeping you in this place? Do you believe that you aren't capable of fulfilling your dreams? Do you believe that this is where our family sits in this sort of economic level? There's no need to be any higher than that. There's so many things that our parents didn't know any better either. They weren't conscious of it, they weren't aware of it, and they just pass it down to us. And this is what us talking about this is so important because we can put that little spark into their minds to say, oh, this doesn't have to be true. There is another place I can go. I can fulfill my dreams.
Yes. Yes. All that. And as you're sharing that, I'm realizing too, there's a couple other ways that we can identify this first level pretty quickly. Anytime you are shoulding on yourself is a
Mm-hmm.
clue that you are experiencing some guilt because you should be doing something else. And then the inner critic, anytime that it is not enoughness coming through in your thoughts. I'm not smart enough. I'm not experienced enough. I'm not articulate enough. I'm not motivated enough. Anytime there's something in that not enoughness, you can identify that you're experiencing that first level of potential.
Yeah. And I know I've sat there. I still do often. Like you said, we go through all of the levels, and I find myself back in this level sometimes when I'm trying to work out what I'm going to do with my business and those types of things. And again, it's just that awareness. Okay, this is not where I want to sit.
Yeah.
So we were going to talk about some of the research. So let's get back to that because I think level one, now that we've recognized when we might be sitting in level one, what's the research behind all of this so that I can really see uh, that this is something that this makes sense? How can this make sense to me to move on, to move up in the
Yeah,
level?
so we actually have an assessment that assesses these subconscious levels of potential. And all of this is developed by Bruce D. Schneider of IPEC Coaching. I'm a certified master coach through IPEC, the Institute for Professional Excellence in Coaching. So this is really his body of work that I became certified in and then ultimately a trainer training other coaches in how to use it in their lives and in their businesses. And now really anybody who's willing to hear this message for the impact that it has. So because it's coming through IPEC, they've done a lot of research using their assessment. And what they've found is basically we go up and down these energy levels all day, every day. If you think about it like stocks in a stock market, at the end of a day or at the end of a week or at the end of a month, whatever it may be, we have an average resonating level of potential, level of energy. And that average level is attributed to how much satisfaction we're experiencing in every single area of our life. We actually tested it against 14 different areas of life, from communication to productivity to leadership to spirituality to financials to relationships, like 14 different categories. How are we feeling? How satisfied do we feel? And across the board, the higher the average resonating level of energy, the more satisfied we are in every single area of our life. Now, this is the research. There's all of the research studies. We have a more recent one about higher levels of energy and how it's connected to actual financial gain, and connected to money and how much money we're creating and abundance we're creating in our life through material. But what I'm going to share an exact story with you. So one of the first clients I worked with, she hired me as a life coach as she was going through some relational challenges. We did this assessment at the beginning of our work together, and then again at the end. We didn't talk about money once in the 6 months we were working together. And at the end, her satisfaction with her financial situation went up exponentially. And I said, "What has changed with you, financially?" And she's like, "Nothing. I work in the same job, make the same amount of money. But here's what changed. How she felt about her finances changed." So we know, like, it's how we feel about things, and that then ultimately starts to create the new reality. So it was only a matter of time before, of course, the physical manifestation of a new financial reality was going to start showing up in her life, because she's now feeling more satisfied, feeling more grateful, feeling more abundant about her finances. Again, we didn't even have to talk about money. We didn't have to talk about any of it. So when we shift our powers of potential, it affects every single area of our life, even if we're just focusing on one area that maybe we're experiencing some stress around.
Yeah, that's so good. I was trained with Mike Dooley on playing the Matrix, and his whole philosophy on that is our main goal should be happiness, because when we are happy, it's sort of similar to what you were saying. You weren't even talking about money, but she was just changing this level of her feeling about life in general, which then just translates to every area of your life. So it's so amazing. And you and I have done a lot of, we love research. So we're always reading books. We're always taking new courses. We're always doing new things. It all comes down to the same thing almost every time. It's the energy behind what we're putting into our lives. So that was a really fun example that you just gave, because that is so true. And I think a lot of people need to hear that. You don't have to just focus on one area of you can focus on one area of your life, but if you can find that flow, that energy behind it that can translate then to the rest of them, it just makes life so much better.
Yes. And as you're talking about, your training and expertise through Mike Dooley's work, it's also reminding me that, so often we are focused on, oh, if only my husband or my partner were more caring, then I'd be happy in my marriage. Like, we focus on those external things. And what you and I are sharing right now, and that we just are so aligned on, is these are worldviews. So if you're seeing the world through, green glasses, it doesn't matter if you look at your money, your relationships, your body, your health, anything, like, you're seeing everything through green. And so these 7 levels, and Mike Dooley's like, if you are holding a lens of happiness, you're going to feel happy about all the things in your life. And at the highest levels of potential, like level 5, when I said there are no problems or challenges, only opportunities, we aren't going into a stress response when things happen, because they don't feel stressful. There's actually excitement behind the challenge, because there's new growth that's just imminent.
Yeah. Gosh, there's just so many things. And the other thing that just came to mind when you said that too is, if we're saying that let's just say, I just wrote a post on this. If we're thinking that our marriage is not going well. What do you think you need to work on? It's not anybody else's fault. You need to come back to yourself. You need to work on where your happiness is and work on your own self-love in order to create a loving relationship. And so by being aware of where you are in these levels, you're going to spread that energy all around you and it's going to be amazing.
Yeah. Of course, you just wrote that post. Of course.
I know.
That's
So
awesome.
synchronistic. I know. All right. Any more research you want to touch on before we keep going?
No, the deeper research is just all in exactly that, that link, keyfactorforsuccess.com. You'll be able to find all the research studies that we've done on overall satisfaction across these 14 different domains.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah. Love it. Okay. So level 2, we touched on it before when you were explaining, and I kind of related it to a scarcity mindset, thinking that I have to work really hard in order to get anything that I want. And if somebody else gets it first, then I can't have it. Expand on level 2 a little more, because I know you play in that 2-5 quite a bit with your clients.
Yeah, so there's a kind of a cool connection to level 2 and level 5. We call it the slingshot effect. So for people, and I've personally done hundreds of these assessments, and 99% of them fall into the first level of potential under stress. So it's actually rare to have like a default stress response to level 2. Our default's typically level 1, which is why when we can start to tap into some level 2 under stress, it creates so much more energy because there's fuel in anger and frustration. Think about some of the things happening in the world that just you're like, it is wrong. There's passion sometimes in anger, crimes of passion, So there's a lot of energy in this second level that we don't have access to in the first level. And when we can just, get to that place of, what's making you angry about this? We actually create quite a powerful shift from that first to that second level. And then with enough consciousness and enough, the work, I know that your listeners, because they're tuning into you and just they're at a level of consciousness already where when they're not under stress, they already have access to these high levels of energy. All of you that are listening, you wouldn't be here if you didn't fully resonate with these higher levels. It's just, where are you under stress versus where are you in your day to day? So because you have access to all those, if you can muster to level 2, what will happen is most of you, your energy will slingshot straight into level 5. It's almost like, this is so frustrating and so angering. All right, what are we going to do about it? What's the opportunity here? I have the power. I have the sovereignty. I have the ability to take this and run with it and do something about it, to take a stand, not from the place of anger, but from the place of opportunity. So that's that really cool 2-5 interplay that we kind of, if we can get into level 2 and we're under level 1, why is this happening in the world? And there's nothing I can do to help, people. And I feel so helpless. And that's all about us. If we can just get into kind of like, screw that, screw it, let's do it. We start to move into those higher levels.
Oh, that felt so good. That was, because one of the things I love to do on my shows is to make it practical. Like, how do I use this in my everyday life? And that was such a great example. Like, find passion behind something and then find the opportunity. And oh, that's so good.
My dog's tail is wagging. He's feeling all.
Oh, he's feeling the energy too. I love it. Okay, we're gonna take one more break, and then we're gonna come back. And I'm telling you guys, this 1 hour is going by so fast. It's so much fun to do this. And we'll be back in a little bit. Welcome back on this special 1 hour show with Stacy Hartmann as my guest. I just want to remind you that I'm here every second and fourth Thursday on Transformation Talk Radio at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. So please join me. I'm actually thinking about what am I doing next time? You know what? I don't know if I've planned it. So I have to get that on the schedule. I was so excited about this one. I don't think I even planned my next one. Um, but anyway, so surprise. Come back and you'll be surprised.
Your level 6 creativity is just going to kick right in upon completion.
Yes. All right, let's continue our conversation on the 7 powers of potential with Stacy. I want to go into level 3 because I feel like you call it the boredom mode. And I feel like for women in midlife, who is a large audience of mine, this you can get stuck here.
Yeah.
You know, we've created, we've taken care of so many people through our lives, and now we're sort of at a place where, what am I going to do with myself? And we can be like, oh, okay, well, here I am. This is it. This is what I'm doing. I've got a good life. I have a home. I have a relationship, whatever. You feel satisfied, but but there's so much more potential. You have so much power to be more and to really go after your heart's desires. That my main focus is don't stay there. Let's not stay in that boredom mode.
Yeah. You're so right. Because it is so comfortable. And the biggest fear, I think, when it comes to shifting out of level 3 into the higher levels is it's really good right now. And what if the next thing takes away what's good? And so what if going for great compromises what I've already built? And so that's kind of how we, tether ourselves to status quo or, making the most out of what is. Yet you said something, and it's this undeniable thing that is in all of our hearts because we are here to live our fullest potential. And it's this undeniable thing that pops up when we're operating in level 3 a lot. And it's like, but what if there's more? And that really is the space we want to start exploring. The richest place in the whole world is the cemetery, because that is where all of the unbirthed ideas and going for the bigger desires and the bigger goals go to die because of exactly this level.
Wow. That's powerful. And if you can recognize that that's where you are and understand that you don't have to stay there. I mean, oh gosh, how much fun could that be?
Yeah.
Not to leave it all, like even like that song, or I think it was Wayne Dyer who said, "Don't die with the dance."
Music still inside of you.
Yeah, there you go. Don't die with the music still inside you. For me, music's huge. I love music, and I'm always expressing myself through music. And because it brings you to another level. It takes away all the stress. It takes away everything else and just puts you in pure joy. And you can do that. So that's the being aware of when you're in boredom mode, or would you call it satisfaction mode, or
comfort.
Yeah.
Very comfortable. The other analogy I like for this level is if you think about, we all have that like embarrassing drawer or closet in our house. And it's like it's all hidden behind something. And the reality is moving beyond this level takes so much bravery and courage because it's leaping into the unknown. So in the 3rd level, we're comfortable because it's a known space, which is also kind of boring. It's ho hum, routine, productive, efficient, all of those things. But if you think about, gosh, I really like to see what's in that closet. And I'd like to clean it out and reorganize it. It always gets messier before it gets cleaner. But once it's clean, there's something that happens. It's just like, there's like creates extra breathing room. It's no longer just, a hidden mess that looks good to anybody stopping by, but what's really behind those doors.
Yeah, that's good. So, okay, let's say I'm in level 3. Now I'm aware that I'm in level 3. Now what do I do?
Yeah, so that's a great question because what level three will also do is protect us to maintain the safety and comfort. So this might be where you're like, yeah, but I know there's more, but I don't know what I want. Like so
Mhm.
confusion starts to come in. And that's this 1-3 interplay because it's like now you're just protecting yourself. So long as you're confused, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to take responsibility. You don't have to take action. So one prompt that I love to just play with that alleviates that is this fill in the blank of, wouldn't it be cool if?
Mm.
And you start to feel a little energy shift. It doesn't mean I'm going to do it. It doesn't mean I have to compromise my safety, but I'm going to give myself permission to just dream. Wouldn't it be cool if? Wouldn't it be cool if I wrote a book? Wouldn't it be cool if I did a radio show? Look at everything that you've done to break through level three, Laurie. Like, wouldn't it be cool if I volunteered at this nonprofit? Wouldn't it be cool if I mentored a student? Wouldn't it be cool? You start to feel these like little heart palpitations of new possibilities. And that's a really fun prompt to just start playing with, but it allows you to not like have to be like, I'm going to do it and then get
Yeah,
scared.
love it. Love it. I actually have a blog post on that very topic.
Oh,
Wouldn't it be cool if a manifestation game? So go find that if you're interested in that because it is so fun and it brings up so much for you.
that's so
Um,
good.
okay, so let's I want to just throw it back to you. What else do you want us to know about these 7 levels of potential?
Yeah, so one thing for sure that stands out to me as I continue to lean into these, and there's layers upon layers upon layers. I've been immersing myself in this awareness for 15 years now, and I still am like, wow, that's a new version of that level. I didn't know that was an experience for that level. But one thing that stands out to me over and over again, and how we can know if we're in kind of the lower third of the levels versus the higher, is in the first three, it's all about me, myself, and I. What I think, what I want, how I feel. And the sweet spot where things start to shift is in the fourth level, where we just start to expand out beyond the ego. So the ego's playground is in the first three. The only reason level three exists is to give us comfort for the first two levels. And so if you think about it that way, there's no purpose for coping, rationalizing, explaining away, or settling if we're not experiencing the lower levels. So, with a coach like Laurie, it's like really important also to be willing to go into that messy closet if you're in a lot of level three to really let all that stuff out that's underneath it. What are we rationalizing and coping for? What are we afraid of? Fear, judgment, attachments hiding underneath that level three. When we open up the closet, it's like, whew, there they are. So the fourth level is really that space that we kind of crack into a new domain, a new realm of existence beyond the
Yeah,
ego.
yeah, so cool. I love the all those the fear, all those things that are really holding you back, like judgment, fear, what will somebody else think? All those things really come into play in those first 3 levels. And so many people, including myself, sit in that so much until we finally decide, I don't want to be there anymore. I don't want to play in that space anymore. I want to move up. You had talked about the level 6, the create mode. I want to be, this is where I want to be. This is where I want to play.
Yeah. Yeah. So the level six and then tapping into that level seven, yeah, it's complete joy, joy, connection, all of those things that just feel so expansive. Intuition, wisdom, higher
Mm,
self, like accessing, one of the first questions you asked is like you have a really interesting relationship with God, universe, source. That is the communication line, is that level six, that ability to receive intuitive guidance that even sometimes makes no sense, but it's a mystery, or it's a exploration in that. So the fastest way to tap into those highest levels is to meditate, to pray, to just, even if it's a minute throughout the day that you just are totally present, staring at a candle, that the flame, just presence, quieting the mind, that's going to automatically start to raise your potential, through all of it.
Yeah. One of my favorite ways of doing that is through journaling. I love to journal. And every morning, in fact, this morning I sat down with my journal and I said, how did I word it? I said, what should I talk about with Stacy today? and what came, and then I just write. And what came to me was all about energy and just being excited and curious, asking questions from a learner's mind. Like, I want to learn about this just like everybody else does. But one of the energy things, because it's all about energy. And one of the things that came up for me is it's really that driving force behind everything we do. You had talked about it's not what we do, it's the energy behind what we do. Is it a should, or is it, this is really fun and I just want to experience this?
Yes.
So we are like, I wanted you to respond to that and talk more, because we could go forever. We could go another hour on this. However, our time is limited here, and I want to make sure I give you a chance to tell everybody where they can find you, because I know they're lit up by what you've said today. So where can they learn more?
Yeah, so I actually pulled together specific for your audience a guide, and it's a biggie. So basically everything we shared plus and then some, how these levels show up in various aspects of life, emotionally and finances and time and all these things. So that guide can be found at humanpotentialguide.com. And it's a download, it's a PDF, it's just like a little mini book that you can refer back to over and over again to really immerse yourself into, deeper awareness of these 7 levels of potential. And then as far as connecting with me or just sharing anything that you want to share, if you have any questions about this, feel free to connect with me. My website is stacyhartmann.com. And also I'm on most of the socials, Facebook, I'm most active, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And I'd love to connect with you there as well.
Yeah. And you've been putting a bunch of videos out on YouTube too, so they could learn more.
That's right. We're on YouTube now too.
Yes.
I forgot about that. Yes.
Yeah. So when you're done watching this, flip over and find another video from Stacy.
Yeah, that's at iamstacyhartmann.com.
Perfect. Well, I just want to say thank you so much, because your wisdom is amazing. And I'm so happy that I was able to share it with my audience here and the whole Transformation Network audience. I know that you are going to touch a lot of people today. So thank you so much for being here.
The pleasure is all mine, always, Laurie. Just being in your space and your energy is just pure joy.
It's fun. We have a lot of fun together. So, all right. Thank you for joining me. I will see you next time. And remember, it's going to be a surprise. We're not sure what it is going to be yet. But I will see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you for listening to Living Marvelously with me, your host, Laurie Jonas. Tune in next time to unleash the marvelous potential in every woman, every second and fourth Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific on transformationtalkradio.com as I help you choose a life that you are passionate about. Learn to embrace your unique self, dream big, and leap into what you choose to have your marvelous life look like. Together we create a world that allows everyone to shine. For more information, visit livingmarvelously.com. That's livingmarvelously.com. See you next time on Living Marvelously.